Coming up on this edition of Reel to Reel.
I'm Carolee McGrath. I'll introduce you to the two newest priests in the Diocese of Springfield. Their ordination story is coming up.
I'm Steve Kiltonick here in Greenfield, where the Mother Parish of Franklin County recently celebrated its sesquicentennial.
And Mark Giza has the latest from Hollywood. These stories and more are just ahead on this edition of Reel to Reel. Hello and welcome to Reel to Reel, again this week as we mark a milestone of 150 years. Today coming to you from Holy Trinity Church in Greenfield, where the parish recently celebrated its 150th anniversary. Founded in 1868, before the Springfield Diocese even existed, it's from this parish that other parishes across Franklin County were later established. Steve Kiltonick will have more on the celebration later on in the show, but first, it's been an exciting week in the diocese with the ordination on Saturday of two new priests, Father Michael Kokoschka and Father Frank Furman. Both men were ordained by Springfield Bishop Mitchell Rosansky at St. Michael's Cathedral, and as Carolee McGrath reports, they are looking forward to serving God and His Church.
On the eve of their ordination and on the solemnity of Saints Peter and Paul, Deacon Michael Kokoschka and Deacon Frank Furman kneeled before Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament. Their entire journey to the priesthood has been about prayer, and at the Holy Hour for Vocations held at the Holy Spirit Chapel at St. Michael's Cathedral, family and friends prayed for these two new priests and for future vocations.
My hopes for my son is that he will be a great priest and save thousands and thousands of souls.
The next morning, surrounded by those same family members, both deacons processed up the aisle, ready to answer God's call.
As the Church of Springfield, we gather on this joyful day to ordain Michael Kokoschka and Frank Furman to the priesthood. We welcome them as brothers in our midst, who, through the grace of God and through the workings of the Holy Spirit, will be ordained for service to God's people in His holy church, with their families, friends, parishioners from their home parishes and where they have served, with brother priests, deacons, men and women religious. We give thanks to God that these two men have responded so generously to God's call to them.
Springfield Bishop Mitchell Rosansky was the principal celebrant for the special Mass at St. Michael's Cathedral called the Rite of Ordination.
Reverend Mr. Frank Furman.
The rite begins with the calling of the candidates.
Reverend Mr. Michael Kokoschka.
Michael and Frank, as God's priest, will be called to witness to the love of the gospel and the presence of Christ among His people.
As the Mass continued, Bishop Rosansky asked about the worthiness of the candidates. Both Father Kokoschka and Father Furman expressed their fidelity to God and His Church.
Do you resolve, with the help of the Holy Spirit, to discharge without fail the office of priesthood in the presbyteral rank as worthy fellow workers with the order of bishops in caring for the Lord's flock?
I do.
As the rite continued, Father Kokoschka and Father Furman lay prostrate on the altar as a sign of total submission to God as the congregation sang the Litany of the Saints.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us. Saint Michael, pray for us.
This was followed by the laying on of hands, the most solemn part of the ceremony.
There's just a great overwhelming sense of gladness and joy. After 6 years, you come to receive the crown jewel of the priesthood, so it's a great thing. We can celebrate our first Masses tomorrow. We celebrated with the bishop today, so there's just a lot of joy. It feels very good.
The Eucharist is the source and summit of our faith, and from that all the other sacraments spring. And having the other sacraments available for me to go and anoint people, to strengthen them in their times of suffering, it's all going to be a very joyful summer for me.
There are currently 10 men in the seminary for the Diocese of Springfield. Vocation co-directors Father Matthew Alkenbright and Father Michael Wood say it's really important for all Catholics, moms and dads, grandparents, to pray for more vocations.
We need priests because we need the Eucharist, and the Eucharist is only given to us through the hands of the priest. And so Jesus instituted this as the most ancient rite of the church, is to ordain men who will give of themselves to give the Eucharist, to give Christ truly present in that host to the people.
It's important for people to pray for vocations in their family, in their parishes, to ask God to bless us with more vocations, but also not to be afraid to suggest to a young man or a not so young man that they might have the skills and talents that God could use to be an effective priest.
Father Kokoschka and Father Furman are looking forward to serving Christ and his church. Reporting for Reel to Reel in Springfield, I'm Carolee McGrath.
Thanks, Carolee. On the road to ordination, Michael Kokoschka was in the driver's seat. Behind the wheel of a tractor trailer, he heard the call. It took a few more years, but today he answered it and became one of the newest priests in the Diocese of Springfield. Kathy Harrington talked to Father Kokoschka about his journey to the priesthood.
I'm ready to start.
On this day, Michael Kokoschka was preparing for his final weekend Mass as a seminarian at St. Anne Parish in Chicopee. His lifelong faith journey has been preparation for his ordination into the priesthood. Growing up in Three Rivers, he's the oldest of 3 children. His close-knit family lived in a house with his babci and jaju on one side, his aunt and uncle on the other.
My mom and dad, we'd always go to church every Sunday. And along with that, there'd be devotions at a Polish parish like Gorzka, and my parents would take me there. Also, growing up, we had perpetual adoration, and my father would go, I forget what the hour was, it was maybe 7 to 8, and I would go with him. So I can say the faith life growing up was pretty solid in my family.
Attending St. Mary Elementary School, he made his first communion at St. Mary Parish in Ware. At confirmation, it was St. Peter and Paul Parish in Three Rivers. Father Kokoschka became an altar server, and it was then he first thought about becoming a priest. After graduating from high school, he earned a 2-year degree from STCC and ended up driving.
When I was a truck driver, when I was on the road, so when I had my CDL, I was thinking, do I really want to do this for the rest of my life? And that's when I think vocation was starting to come the strongest, when I was probably 21 or 22 years old.
Instead of answering the call, he returned to college, earning a bachelor's degree in mathematics. He took a job at Aetna in Hartford.
I would go to the cathedral, and on my lunch hours, I would say a prayer before the tabernacle, and it just came to a point where that thought never really went away, and then I thought, well, it's time to pursue it.
Kokoschka entered St. John Seminary in Boston.
I had a great spiritual director my first year in seminary. He's now a bishop in Oakland, Bishop Michael Barber. He had some great insights for me and gave me great books to read, which were quite helpful in the beginning.
Father Kokoschka believes in the power of the Holy Rosary and the role it plays in increasing vocations.
I would say that if they are interested, they should intensify their life of prayer and pick up a book on the priesthood, whatever else, and read that to see if that's something they really want to pursue, and then they can take the next step.
Kokoschka spent his final year as a seminarian assigned to St. Anne Parish with Father John Connors. On this weekend, parishioners are included in a farewell blessing as he prepares for ordination. He says if you think that someone has a vocation, you should encourage them to pursue it. That support is essential.
I was fortunate, my family is very supportive. That makes it easier for a man or a woman to make a transition into the priesthood or, say, the religious life.
Father Kokoschka is eager to begin his priestly vocation.
Being a priest will be a fantastic gift. I look forward to celebrating the Mass. I look forward to hearing confessions, to keep preaching, to do the sacraments well. Just a life of prayer, to hopefully bring others to Christ through all these things.
Father Kokoschka says if God is calling someone to a vocation, no other path will work.
If they think they're being called to this, I don't think they'll find happiness elsewhere.
Reporting for Reel to Reel, I'm Kathy Harrington.
For Father Frank Furman, it was a different road traveled that led to yesterday's ordination. The 4th Frank Furman, he is the first to become a priest. The East Hampton native and parishioner of Our Lady of the Valley Parish says he's excited to finally be able to fulfill his dream of celebrating Mass and to serve God and his people. I sat down with Father Furman last week to find out just what inspired him to pursue this vocation. Father Frank Furman is the fourth in a line of Franks, named after his father, who works as an IT specialist. His grandfather, Frank Furman Jr., was a U.S. Navy veteran and also worked in the refrigeration business. And his great-grandfather, the first Frank Furman, originally from Holyoke, was a foreman in a steel mill.
One of my pastors joked that God tried 4 times to get a priest out of my family, and on the 4th he'll succeed.
Frank IV grew up in East Hampton, the only child of Frank and Joanne Furman. He attended the former Notre Dame Immaculate Conception Grammar School and graduated from the former Holyoke Catholic High School when it was located in Granby. He says his parents instilled their strong faith in God in him, and he often thought of becoming a priest, but ignored the call at first, entering the nursing program at Elms College instead. Well, halfway through his junior year, the call to the priesthood came back.
It was kind of like a boomerang, you know. In high school I threw it away, but then it hit me pretty hard that year. And I realized that seminary was where I needed to be to really figure this out and take discernment to the next level.
After graduating from the Elms, Father Furman studied at St. John's Seminary in Brighton, and then was sent to Rome by Bishop Brzezinski to study theology. While in Europe, he says he learned a lot about many lesser-known saints and was influenced by the quiet yet devoted faith life of Italian saint Gemma Galgani from Lucca.
She wanted to be a Passionist in the worst way, and she seemed to fail at a lot of those things. But God told her that she would be adopted by the Passionists after her death, and lo and behold, they take care of her relics now. And she's seen as one of their saints. So she's just a different example of, you know, we're all called to be saints, but we can take many paths to get there, and God has a different path for each one of us.
And speaking of paths, Father Furman says in his spare time that he likes to spend time outdoors, especially hiking. And it was on a particularly long pilgrimage path, walking the Camino de Santiago, or Way of St. James in Spain, that he says he received grace and inspiration from God.
I did. I asked for some graces from God, especially regarding ministry, to be more passionate about what I do and really be able to give my all in everything. And I really feel that God has given me certain graces with ministry to be able to do His work and to really be able to let myself enter into it.
Father Furman will return to Rome this fall to finish up his second year for a degree in moral theology, and then he will return to the diocese for a more permanent assignment. And congratulations to both Fathers Kokoschka and Furman, and best wishes to them for a long and fulfilling priesthood. And still to come on Reel to Reel, Mark Giza has some summer movie and theater recommendations. And Steve Kiltonic takes a look at the story behind the founding of this Greenfield parish that began 150 years ago. These stories and more are still to come on Reel to Reel from Holy Trinity Parish in Greenfield. We at Catholic Communications were saddened to hear of the passing on June 9th of 12-year-old Alex Blaze, one of the youngsters featured in our recent story about the St. Michael's Youth Players' inclusive production of The Wizard of Oz. The funeral mass for Alex, who fought a brave battle with brain cancer, was held June 15th at St. Michael's Church in East Longmeadow. We offer our prayers and sympathy to his family and all those who loved this courageous boy.
Those loud dinosaurs are back. Our favorite comic book family, The Incredibles, are too. and a new musical by Tony Award winner William Finn is playing in the Berkshires. Welcome to this week's Real Culture. It's summer, so you know what that means? Dinosaurs. So here comes a big, loud, over-the-top movie like Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom to wake us all up. And boy, is it loud. It will make sure you do not miss a scene. Okay, listen, I'm getting tired of these films. Hollywood must know by now this has been done to death. So let's put it into this type of film. I know I'm ready.
You know me.
Now, if you're looking for a great family film, Incredibles 2 is a hoot. Your favorite family of superheroes are back, with more fun, laughs for all of us to relish. This is the type of film to see in the summer. Funny, colorful, and just plain zany. Forget the storyline. Who needs one? Go, buy a big bag of popcorn, and just smile.
Bye, sweetie.
I'll watch the kids, no problem. Combustion imminent? What does that mean? Ah!
It means fire, Robert.
Now playing at the Barrington Stage Company is the new musical, The Royal Family of Broadway. Based on the play The Royal Family, it tells the tale of a family that is all show business and has the makings of a true hit. We follow the Cavendish family as they deal with everyday life. Two performances stood out. The Tony Award-winning actress Harriet Harris, as the grand dame of the family, delivers a wonderful performance. Her voice and delivery is right on the money. Will Swenson, as Tony, is just a hoot. Acting like John Barrymore, he owns the stage the second he walks on. Go, you will enjoy it. It's there till July 7th. And you can see my reviews, as well as read other movie reviews provided by the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops online at iobserve.org. That's iobserve.org. In the next few weeks, we'll be taking you to the Berkshire Theatre Fest as they present The Petrified Forest, and back up to the Barrington Stage Company for one of the greatest musicals ever, West Side Story. I'm Mark Giza for Real Culture. Have a fabulous weekend.
Conventual Franciscan friar Father Luis Palacios Rodriguez had never heard of Chicopee, Massachusetts, when he was invited to relocate there from his native Acapulco, Mexico. A year and a half ago, he came to the United States to help with ministries in schools that catered to Spanish-speaking students. Father Rodriguez himself had to learn a new language, Polish, when he arrived at St. Stanislaus Bishop and Martyr Basilica. Since January of 2017, he has served at the parish, preparing for his June 22nd ordination to the priesthood. Nearly 400 people attended as the newly ordained priest celebrated his first Mass of Thanksgiving on June 24th with family and friends at St. Stan's. Reel to Real's David Martin tells us more.
Newly ordained Father Luis Palacios Rodriguez expressed his sincere gratitude to all who have offered welcome and allowed him to become a better servant of Christ through their examples of kindness.
I am thankful for the many blessings of the people that I have had around me, all the parishioners, and not just the parishioners of St. Stanislaus, but the community of the Diocese of Springfield.
Father Rodriguez is also grateful for the mentorship of Franciscan Father Joseph Benesevich, pastor of St. Stanislaus Basilica.
Some of the folks that he has been visiting regularly as part of our ministry of care team who find it very difficult to get out of their house made extra special efforts to be here this morning. So I have no doubt that those folks are going to be praying for him.
Father Luis Palacio shared the experience of his ordination to the priesthood, which happened 2 days earlier at St. Louis Roman Catholic Church in Buffalo, New York.
Monsignor Gregory Hartmeyer, the Bishop of Savannah, Georgia, was the one who administered the sacrament. And I am very blessed to have all the Franciscan friars with me and many other priests who came from different countries.
The Mass of Thanksgiving is an opportunity for him to come back to the parish where he has served here as a deacon for the last 6 months. We're so happy that his mom and aunt were able to come up from Mexico to be with him.
Father Rodriguez is pleased to serve a variety of cultures.
As a bilingual, there are many challenges because even though I speak Spanish, from many different countries, Spanish speakers, they have many different cultures, many different slangs. So I am blessed to speak Spanish, but also I am blessed to have the opportunity to minister everybody.
The new priest offered blessings to others after Mass and during a reception at the St. Stanislaus School Hall. He asked for prayers as he begins his priestly ministry. For Real to Real, I'm David Martin.
Father Rodriguez looks forward to continuing to serve the people of God in his new assignment at St. Philip Benizi Catholic Church in Jonesboro, Georgia. Last week, we brought you the story of Our Lady of the Hills Parish in Haydenville, celebrating the 150th anniversary of the building of its church. We have a similar event taking place recently here in Greenfield, but this time it's a milestone marking the founding of the Mother Parish in Franklin County. Steve Kiltonic has the story now of Holy Trinity Parish.
On May 27th, Holy Trinity Parish in Greenfield, the Mother Church of Franklin County, celebrated a sesquicentennial, the 150-year anniversary of its founding. Springfield Bishop Mitchell Rosansky celebrated the 10:30 a.m. Mass with Holy Trinity Pastor Father Timothy Campoli, former pastors Monsignor Ronald Yarjo and Father John Roach, parish deacons Channing Beat and Paul DiCarlo, and from its sister parish, Blessed Sacrament, deacons John Leary and George Nolan.
And as we gather here today, we give thanks to God, indeed, for the grace of the Blessed Trinity and for the grace and energy of this parish, who for 150 years has been a place of comfort, a place of solace, a place of joy and of hope.
On the graves at Holy Trinity's Calvary Cemetery are the names of the early immigrants who came to Greenfield in the mid to late 1800s to establish this parish: the Irish, the Italians, the French Canadians, Lithuanians, and the Polish. Monsignor Yarjo, who served as pastor from 2000 until 2017, said the Archbishop of Boston made the long journey to Greenfield in 1868 to consecrate the church.
There was great excitement on Main Street as all the Catholics of Franklin County lined up wanting to meet the Archbishop. And because that year, as this year, it was Holy Trinity Sunday, the Archbishop gave the name of this parish as Holy Trinity.
During its long history, 18 priests have served the parish as pastors. The longest was 24 years, that of Father Patrick Meehan. The shortest was Father Jeremiah McCarthy, who served only 6 months. But that's because he met a tragic death. In 1881, Father McCarthy's Irish cousin was the parish housekeeper. One day, her husband came intoxicated to the rectory looking for her.
Father McCarthy recognized that and refused to let him in, and so he was shot dead in the entryway of the rectory.
In speaking about some of the parish milestones, Monsignor Yarjo credited Father Patrick Meehan with building Holy Trinity School, which became a hallmark of the community.
Many of our children, parents, grandparents today are products of Holy Trinity School, taught by the wonderful sisters of St. Joseph.
On September 4th, 1941, a fire broke out in the church on First Friday. Father Meehan and his friend Rabbi Leo Trepp were having morning coffee.
It is the rabbi who went to the tabernacle, opened the tabernacle, and saved the Blessed Sacrament. The church was almost destroyed, but to the goodness and the energy of our fire department, the church was spared.
The 100th anniversary of the parish and church was celebrated October 13th, 1968. The church was filled to capacity as Springfield Bishop Christopher Weldon celebrated Mass with Father William Fahey. Many church renovations have taken place over the years, including the most recent under Monsignor Yarjo.
thanks to a former pastor, Father Casey, who left us money in a grant. We were able to rely on some of that money for the renovation of the parish hall, and then 2 years later for the entire renovation of the church.
Parishioners also raised $500,000 for the makeover.
We tried to restore it to its original, if you will, using the colors perhaps of that time, and I think we have done our very best.
Today, the parish continued its outreach with community meals, a jail ministry program, nursing home visits, and an elderly food program, Bread for Life. Tessa Lee and her sister Peg Stevens were baptized, received First Communion, and married in Holy Trinity. They recalled attending Mass with their parents.
It always was so crowded that they had ushers to find you a seat when you came. Right. If you didn't come real early, you didn't get a seat.
They had like a cabinet thing with a circle, and you come in 15 cents, you know, and you would hear the jingle, you know, as it came in.
Both attended Holy Trinity School and were taught by the Sisters of St. Joseph.
Wonderful teachers, but strict, huh?
Very strict.
Strict.
The sisters have volunteered for many parish activities, like community meals, baking for fundraisers, and devoted much of their time taking care of the church flowers.
Because we loved our church.
We loved our
too.
church.
Yeah, and we wanted to make it beautiful, what it is.
And we wanted to please Monsignor. He brought a lot of people that have been away from the church for a long time back. I'm one of them.
Both have also been active in the Holy Rosary Society, which designed the anniversary cookbook called A Taste of Heaven, which contains 200 recipes from church members. For B. Bowman, a parishioner since 1960, the parish has been more than just a place of worship.
It feels like family to me, and it always has. You know, no matter, I mean, some people come, some people go, but it's just, you know, being a part of a group of people who feels like family.
Bowman enjoyed serving as the parish secretary for 6 years under Father John Roach.
A lot of fun, very charismatic. He was just a guy who everyone loved, and I think still do.
After the anniversary Mass, a reception and buffet luncheon was served in Father Casey Hall. Monsignor Yarjo said he'll always treasure the memories of his time here.
Right from my very beginning moments here, I felt a wonderful community, tremendous acceptance, great faith and encouragement. What a wonderful blessing God has given to me in allowing me to be part of Holy Trinity Parish.
For 150 years, Holy Trinity has been a beacon of faith in Greenfield. May it continue to shine for all of Franklin County for generations to come. For Real to Real, I'm Steve Kiltonic.
If you're interested in getting a copy of the anniversary cookbook, it can be purchased from the parish directly or by calling Marcy Hoynoski at 413-772-6983. We have posted that info at iobserve.org. And for this week, that's Real to Real. Thanks so much to Father Timothy Campoli and the folks here at Holy Trinity Parish for hosting our visit today. And now that summer is upon us, there are lots of fun events happening all summer long, including St. Anne's Parish in Lenox Summer Festival. On July 14th and 15th, the parish will host the festival, which includes lots of fun activities, entertainment, a barbecue, raffles, a National Geographic photo tour, and Sunday Mass under the tent. For more information, we have a link at iobserve.org, where you can stay up to date on all of the latest news. That's iobserve.org. For viewers on 22 News WWLP, we will be off next week because of NBC sports programming. Everyone else will see us at the normal time. And with July now here, we will begin sharing with you some special encore editions of Real to Real, returning with new shows on Labor Day weekend. Until next time, have a great 4th of July.
Real to Real is a production of the Catholic Communications Corporation, funded in part by the annual Catholic Appeal, and the support of you, our faithful viewers.